Hey everybody, good morning.
Good morning.
It is right now, we don't have any drinks to clink because we are in a very special location in our warehouse with our fulfillment supervisors, Adam and Katie. You've seen both of them in Right Now before, but I'm going to basically kind of let them run this one because they wanted to talk about the fulfillment process and as we're coming up on the holidays, what's going to be happening. So take it away, guys.
Sure. So just thanks for having us and good morning to everybody.
Always.
First thing we want to talk about was just some changes that we made to our process to just make you aware of those. One thing we're always trying to think of is, how can we create less waste? So we looked at the things that we include in our packaging and something that you used to see a lot of, maybe it can be hard. So you're still going to get your packing card, which is really important, and we'll talk about that a bit more later. And we now are transitioning to this larger packing card, and there's a very specific reason for that. So we used to have 4 different things in your packages. So we've cut that down to 3 by eliminating our values card, which is right here. So I don't know, like 2 years ago we thought this up.
Yeah.
So the reason that we do this is because we've got all these little tiny little items that we ship out. Converters, preppy O-rings. Katie's got an example of that right here. So the reason that we started doing these cards was so that the small items that would, just so often get lost in shipment, we'd have somewhere for them to go and we would be able to communicate to everybody like, hey, this is what we're going to do to make sure that you don't lose these items. So the values card was specifically created because at the time we had just kind of solidified our company values. That was a really important milestone for our company.
Well, and actually, I'll jump in here for a second. The original reason for the values card was actually not even for the values. It was because we wanted to put like returns information and stuff. And we were like, we need something to put on the back. So we were like, oh, let's throw the values on there. So that was actually kind of an afterthought. But then it kind of became called the values card, even though it was originally for return information.
Yeah, and we wanted somewhere to stick these bad boys so they just wouldn't get lost, because that used to be a huge shipping issue for us.
So we would get caught up in the stretch wrap, and
or you'd just be excited. You'd be unwrapping everything, and it would just fly into your couch or into your coffee table or something. So, and just looking at ways to reduce waste and also just create some efficiency so that we could serve more customers every day. We eliminated the values card and replaced it with a larger packing card. So you're going to see something like this that Katie's already shown you for all your accessories. So any of those small items that we kind of bag and label, we wanted to make it your experience better. So you know, guaranteed, I'm going to be able to find my items right here. So just want to explain that. So your order is now going to contain this large packing card with any items that you bought that are small. You get your thank you card, which everybody here in the business signs, and we really enjoy this opportunity to express our gratitude to everybody who is a part of the Goulet family. And of course, the Tootsie Pop.
The Tootsie Pop.
Everyone's favorite.
Which we failed to mention last time we were on, I think. I think we completely forgot, when Adam and you and I were on, we completely forgot to mention the Tootsie Pop and how completely important that is in the process. Because that's actually something we track now, as if we're missing a Tootsie Pop in the order. Because we've gotten so many people on Goulet Nation or wherever that are like, I didn't get a Tootsie Pop. Oh my gosh, what happened? What's wrong? The world is ending. We're like, calm down. It's okay. We'll get you Tootsie Pop.
Understood. It's a small, fun part of your day. I think people just really appreciate that.
Absolutely. And we do get asked a lot, why do we do a Tootsie Pop? Part of it is because it's just a fun little treat, and because we pack everything so well, it can take a little bit of time to unpack sometimes. So we wanted to have just something you can enjoy while you're unpacking your stuff. But the significance of the Tootsie Pop in particular is because when I was a kid, I really looked up to my dad a lot. And I loved buying things for my dad, but I was a kid, so I didn't really have much money. So when I would go to the dollar store or whatever, I would look for candy, because that's what they put down low where the kids can reach things. They put all the candy. So I would buy him Boston baked beans, which he didn't really like, I don't think, but I thought he liked them. So I'd buy him that, or Tootsie Pops was a staple of something I would always buy him. So it was kind of like a nice little thing. I didn't think shipping Boston baked beans would be very well received, so I was like, let's go with Tootsie Pops.
We want to appreciate
so it's kind of like, exactly. So it's kind of like a way of, showing love for my dad, and it's showing love for our customers, so kind of harkens back to that little fun fact for you.
In 6 years, I have never heard that story.
Really? I'm sure I told it.
No.
Come on.
I have never heard that story.
All right.
That's really interesting.
Well, I need to say it more then, I think.
Absolutely.
But that's why. That's the reason why. So whenever it comes up, it's like, why is it a Tootsie Pop? You should change it. I'm like, it's not so easy.
There's some history
So
and some meaning
it's a little sentimental, yeah.
Yeah.
I learned something today.
There you go.
It's always
We're all
good to
learning
learn
things.
The more you know.
That's right. Awesome.
So that was the big stuff we want to talk about, with just our process changes. And you mentioned with the holidays coming up that there's some things that we want to talk about. So Katie's, take it away.
So as the cold weather approaches, There's going to be some really, really freezing temperatures. Some of you guys probably already have experienced that in your areas, especially our friends up north. So we have these do not freeze stickers that
I
traditionally...
love
Yeah.
the penguin in the tuxedo.
No penguins in tuxedos.
No.
That's right.
But typically we include these on any orders that have bottles of ink, Black Friday through March 1st. Of course, if there's like a sudden cold snap or, just some extra cold something coming through, we will adjust the dates on that. So also if you have a really big ink order and you're just concerned about, your area is particularly cold at this point of the year, you can include in your order comments that you would like a do not freeze sticker, and we will put them on your order. Typically we do put them on any orders that have bottled ink. We don't usually put them on orders that just have samples, because those little sample vials are pretty hardy and they're not really prone to like breaking or bursting. There's some extra room in there if the ink does freeze. So, but look for them on orders that have bottles of ink.
And one thought here, talking about freezing ink. First off, I don't know how often do we run into ink actually freezing.
It's extremely rare that we actually hear about like issues with that
It's
happening.
not nearly as common as you might think.
No.
So we try to take steps to prevent it. And if you do have ink that freezes, first off, if it freezes and the bottle doesn't like break or leak or anything, when it thaws out, you can use it again. It's perfectly fine. I've never heard of an issue of an ink freezing and thawing and then being unusable. So that's fine. It's really just if it like freezes and breaks the bottle and leaks in the shipment. But even that is super rare, and we always make it right. Like we'll always make it right.
We do have a couple of inks that come in plastic bottles, so if you have a concern about freezing inks in glass bottles, I brought out a few selections. Visconti comes in this really nice kind of magic lamp looking bottle, which I think is really, really cool.
I've never heard it called that.
I have not heard that.
Adam and I both just like,
I really like
Arabian
it.
Nights.
It looks like that.
It really does.
Yeah, I like that.
The Robert Oster inks come in a plastic bottle, so those might be a little bit better to travel in those cold conditions. We've got the Diamine 30 mil come in a plastic bottle, and we also have Organic Studios come in a plastic bottle. After I open this guy up, I'll show you. So these might be a little bit better if you really are concerned that there's just some really, really below freezing negative temperatures in your area. This might be a better route to take, is one of these plastic bottles.
There you go.
We also do have a couple of polar inks from Noodlers, and what I have found out about these guys is that they are freeze resist. So they're not freeze proof, but they're less likely to develop like a frozen solid mass of ice. Do you have any more information about the polar inks that you know about?
They freeze down. They'll freeze at a certain temperature, but it's really low. It's like -40 or -60 degrees Fahrenheit, something like that. I don't know what that is in Celsius, but it's pretty darn cold. So yeah, it's. I've never heard of anyone having a polar ink freeze. In fact, we had an Australian scientist who was studying in Antarctica.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
they took a bunch of inks down there just to see, and even there, they really didn't have much of a problem. So I think you'll be fine if you get the polar inks.
And what colors is black, blue? There's a brown, right?
There's a green.
Green.
This
Yes.
is purple.
Yes. There's a few. There's a
Yeah.
handful. It's not a ton of
It's
them.
not a
but
ton.
It is handy for those situations.
But there's a lot of the Diamine in the 30 mil, so you got a nice selection there.
Exactly.
And samples. You know, always
Samples
order
are always good to go. Yeah, absolutely. And if you ever have any questions, you can always reach out to our customer care team. We can answer anything about how we pack stuff, or how it's shipped in certain areas with certain temperatures and these types of things. But we thought it would be pertinent to kind of do this for you as we're coming up onto the holiday season and everybody's thinking about buying stuff and thinking about cold temperatures, as we're all wearing hoodies and sweatshirts now, loving the cold.
Sweater weather.
Cool. Is there anything else you guys want to cover? That was pretty thorough.
We do have packing feedback, so as part, there's a link on it on the packing cards that we include. So you can come here if you have any feedback on how your order was packed, what you liked, if there's something that we could do better. We love to read all of your packing feedback. We read it on a weekly basis at the minimum, and we respond in as timely a manner as possible. So we really appreciate any and all packing feedback. We always want to find ways that we can serve you guys better. So the link is right there, and we'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. And then as we close it out here, we got Halloween coming up next week. Adam, I know Halloween is like your favorite time
It's the
of
best.
year. So,
Clearly the best.
what are you guys doing for Halloween? I'm just curious.
Oh my goodness. My decoration process for my house, I don't know, it takes a few weeks. Like I really
Pretty
do
impressive.
it up. I really do it up.
How many pumpkins you say you carve every year?
5.
Wow.
By myself.
By yourself.
My son's of the age now that like I'll at least let him like draw the faces on. So I think that'll be really fun.
Nice.
We tried that last year and he really didn't like the pumpkin. He's
A little sticky.
he's not into
It's
that.
an acquired taste. You gotta train him.
It's my absolute favorite time of year.
Have you got a costume picked out, or is it? A
I do have a
surprise?
costume picked out. My son actually picked it out this year.
Oh yeah? What
So,
is it?
He's going to be Ant-Man from the Marvel Universe.
Nice.
And, we have all these action figures in his room. We play with him every night, and then we read some books. So he usually picks Ant-Man because he just loves the shrinking powers. And the only bad guy action figure that we have is Thanos. So he wants me to be Thanos this year.
All right.
And I use that at bedtime. Like, hey, like if he's not going to brush his teeth, I put on the Thanos mask and the Infinity Gauntlet, and I'm like, I will never let you brush your teeth again. And he's like, no, Thanos, I'm going to brush my teeth. So it's worked out pretty
Oh my
well.
gosh, that's awesome. What about you, Katie? Did you get into Halloween?
Yeah, we decorate, pretty minimally. We got some pumpkins out. My daughter's really excited about just looking at pumpkins whenever we go to the grocery store. She seems pretty into it. So I think as she gets bigger, she's going to be really into this holiday. I have a little ladybug costume for her with the little hood with the little...
Oh my
So
gosh.
she's going to be pretty cute walking around.
Oh, yeah.
She's still a little young for candy, but we might go to a couple houses just so she can get the idea.
You can use her to get the candy and then have it for
Ooh.
yourself.
Oh, yeah.
That is a good idea.
Yeah.
All the
At least
Reese's,
a little return on your
Reese's
investment
cups go
here.
to the parents.
You know, you give so much as a parent, you need to take a little bit sometimes, right?
I think that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
But I do have a costume planned for the costume contest at work.
That's right.
Which
Because we are going to do an internal costume contest. I'm sure you'll see pictures of that. On
we've done that every
Instagram.
year for, the last
A while.
Five,
6
years?
years?
5 years?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Pretty popular.
it's really fun to just, come to work, wear some crazy stuff, see everyone's costumes. Last year, all the leaders decorated their offices, and we did trick-or-treating around the building, which was really fun.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
But yeah, I've told a few people, but we'll keep it a
Nice.
surprise, but there'll be pictures posted later.
Yes. Very cool.
How about you, Brian?
I don't have anything elaborately planned. Rachel and I, we don't go nuts for Halloween, but our kids are getting into it. They're 6 and 8, so they're like prime trick-or-treating age right now. But we live in a neighborhood that like doesn't have any kids in it really, so there's no trick-or-treating in our neighborhood. But they've got friends now who live more in the gold digger type neighborhoods where we'll be able to go to their friends' houses.
Oh, they have the
where it's like house after
full-size
house after
candy
house.
bars?
Yeah, we'll have them bring like pillowcases and stuff like that.
That's
so.
the way to go.
Yeah, I think they're not prepared for what they're going to face this year.
Yeah.
In a good way.
We get like 50 to 60 kids in our neighborhood. Like,
Wow.
every- like it's crazy.
Wow, that's insane.
Do you
Which
think they
makes
come
it
to your
enjoyable.
house just because of all the elaborate decorations?
That's what I'm hoping for.
It's wild. That's fun. Well, thank you everybody for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this one, learning a little bit more about our packing, a little bit more about Halloween perhaps. Leave in the comments, what are you guys doing for Halloween? Just kind of curious. Fun little thing for you. Hope you enjoy this. Have a great Wednesday, and right on.
Right on.